Anxiety, the Positive Perspective Podcast. This podcast provides greater understanding and awareness for those challenged by anxiety and for the people that love them. Well-known authors Michelle LaForde and Jennifer Thompson bring it to the table with truth and vitality. Now, too, I'm going to record now.
You both recorded. You're funny. You are so much fun. I don't believe you had anxiety. I don't believe it. It's too much fun.
All right. Thank you for joining us. This is Jennifer Thompson and Michelle LaForde, and we are Anxiety, the Positive Perspective. We always start every episode out with our empowerment. We are strong. We are beautiful. We are amazing. And it is Jen and I's wish that we bring that empowerment to you so that you can see the positive inside of you and the potential that you can unleash with a different perspective. And we call that the positive perspective. So we were laughing because we dressed and Jen popped up and I said, oh my God, I was going to wear an Under Armour. And so I ran and changed. And because I am vain. I mean, if I, it takes me a minute to try and look my best. So.
Oh my God. I think what's really great is that we're so synergistically aligned.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm enjoying this process. But today I really have got a lot of questions to ask Michelle.
Get on it.
Every time she talks about her experiences, I've got more questions. Michelle, you unpacked in the last episode, you unpacked quite nicely the physiological aspects to the body when you feel that anxiety. So when I listen to that, and all of us, again, experience moments of great stress. I remember a few times in my life where I thought, okay, my brain's not working and, it's not running properly anymore. My body's full of adrenaline. But Michelle, what I want you to tell me, at what point does that line cross? I mean, it's protecting us. We know fight or flight or freeze. So there's this protection mechanism. But at what point, my dear, does it go from where it's just normal, what our body's telling us, beware, there could be something there at the corner, dark alley. At what point, but yours goes beyond just this natural reaction. Yours goes beyond it. So at what point where someone needs to say, oh my God, I think it's gone beyond just a natural reaction to a stressful situation. Now it's taking over my life. Michelle, tell me that properly, really clearly.
Well, I think when I want to embrace people, so
Yes.
For me, at that point, I want to embrace you and turn you around, is when you start avoiding things in your daily life because they're too hard or your anxiety monster is just drilling you at those points. So when you start feeling, I think you can tell there's a problem. I think you can tell it's an abnormal response. I think it makes you uncomfortable in that, but it doesn't mean that you know what to do about it. So when you start avoiding things in your daily life, when work becomes too difficult, when school becomes too difficult, sitting in a classroom, I work with kids a lot. My new book is coming out May 15th called The Master Plan Kids Anxiety Relief. So I have the original adult version, which is the Master Plan Soaring Free of Anxiety, where you use the soaring technique to kids, which
tell me about it. Tell me a little bit about it, the soaring technique.
A lot of us who experience anxiety disorders are prone to triggering when we're young. We can look back and say, oh, I was always an anxious kid. Okay. So you're looking at kids always experience separation anxiety when they go from that comfortable place, that nest of nurturing with their family, to the first place, the daycare, the preschool, kindergarten, whatever. Those are normal separation anxiety. And, we all have to go through that. You're going to be okay. I'm going to go ahead and leave. And you leave the caregivers in charge of your child's response.
Yes.
When that turns into third grade and they don't want to go to school and things like that, listen to them. Listen to their words and watch their behaviors.
Yes.
You can go back now, and I know that you can do this because we kind of talked about it a little bit. You can go back now, and you've got friends who have anxiety that now you're speaking about it vocally. They're like, oh yeah, that's me. And you're like, what? Why wouldn't you not share that with me? Well, because most people are assholes.
Yes.
You know, most people are going to give that response that you gave. Just get over it. Go
Yes.
take a hot bath. Go take a walk. Well, let me tell you, when you're in a point of sheer terror and your head has this tornadic activity, all these thoughts are whirling, and it starts to suck you down into this vortex of emotion on top of the thoughts. Now the thoughts mean something to me because they're scaring the bejesus out of me.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say to me until you say, get over it. And then I'm like, what? It's like this little trigger that turns me into a raging monster. I was doing a live Facebook video today, and you like me because I let my emotions come forth, right? When I'm happy, I'm happy. But if I talk about something, like I was talking about the fact that I had 9 deaths in 8 years from 17 years old to 26.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And I triggered at 21. Okay. So my dad was killed at work. Then I had an aunt. My Aunt Marie was 33, and she passed away on the way to the hospital, leaving 2 young children. And then my aunt 31, who was special needs, she had mental retardation. And so she was special. She died at 31. And that was all within a year and a half. Our family was hit that hard. But I didn't trigger. Okay, I still did everything. But when I went, I ended up quitting college because my mother had remarried, and the guy pulled a gun on my little brother states away.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so my middle brother and I took off and went to rescue my mom and my little brother. And so we got to Montana, and my brothers left on motorcycle, and I stayed with my mom, trying to get her to leave, talk some sense into her. Well, I don't want to leave my stuff. And I'm like, it's stuff, it's stuff. And I remember she wouldn't leave. So I traveled back to Kansas and went back to school, and they told me I couldn't have my financial aid because I had lived with them 6 months in the summer. And the monster that she had married wouldn't file income tax. So I lost my scholarships and my financial aid. So I quit school. A senior in college quit school. And so I entered the workforce. Soon after entering that, I was transferred to another city. And that's where I had made some really wonderful friends. And I experienced a friend completing a suicide. I was there. My first girlfriend and I were there, and we were murder suspects that night. So not only had we gone through this trauma of, the whole gun thing, but then we were carted off via ambulance to the police station, and we were murder suspects. And I didn't even know that. I was so innocent. I didn't even realize I was a murder suspect until they threw the shotgun on the table in front of me. And it was bloody. And he said, "Is this the gun you used to kill her?" And I'm like, what? Whoa, wait a minute. I'm way out of my element here. And that was my first panic attack right there at that police station. And I panicked for 29 years, every single day after that.
I got it. So, okay, if I hear you correctly, I mean, what you went through, I don't think it's unrealistic to say that it was all very traumatic events. Nothing short of really traumatic events, not just losses, but I think the being the suspect, that's alone, I mean, that would throw me, I'll be really honest. So
I didn't get it. I really didn't know what was going on. I didn't get it. And so I think the shock and, and there's a lot of pieces to that. I had been to a party, and we partied. Let me tell you, us, girl, we could party. And so I'm sure it wasn't a real sound mind. I had probably drank quite a bit. Granted, it sobered us up at that point, but they put us in separate rooms, and all I could think of was that there had been drugs at the party. I didn't partake because I just have never been that person. But I thought, oh God, they're going to arrest her. And, you know, I'm okay because I hadn't been drinking and driving, so they couldn't do anything to me. But all this weird stuff while they've left me sitting in this room by myself after experiencing my friend literally complete a suicide with a shotgun to the head. And it's just like, I can actually go back there now and I can see that event, you know, roll it through my mind and not trigger. That's what the master plan does. That's what this is designed to do. But my trigger, not everybody that has anxiety disorder went through that kind of stuff.
No.
They didn't. They're just normal people who, most of us have a genetic predisposition.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah.
I just got it from both sides. So I ended up the lady who was housebound in 15 years, 3 different times. You know, and I'm a tough little bitch. I worked my way back out, but I never got well. It was a managing of the symptoms, or I was strong enough to face going to the mall. And like, I just had a little shudder. When I get what I call nervous, when I get nervous, I shake from my core. Like, I shake from behind my sternum. I shake. And I can feel that shake. But it doesn't scare me anymore.
Okay.
I'm just talking about a very difficult subject for me. Right. And so I got that little bit of shake. So for me, you know, the first thing I need to do is just drop my shoulders. Yeah. Take a nice belly breath. And now I'm fine. There's no shaking. Had that been 2 years ago, before I experienced any recovery, I would have been off and running. I would have triggered to a major panic attack, major. And we wouldn't be sitting here anymore. I would have run. We'd been done. I don't care. We'd have been done.
So, so you mentioned a couple of things that really is very, for me, like, again, someone who's dealing with someone who might have had anxiety or still has anxiety. Some of the things you said that were really key was that, but aside, you talked about your physiological responses. Of course, not everyone can see that as a caregiver or someone who loves somebody with anxiety. So you can't see that. You've got the physiological response to an extremely traumatic situation. Now, a slight trigger sets that going again.
Boom.
Right? Yeah. And the other thing you mentioned about having the support, you said you made some nice friends. Yet that was not enough because you had so many of these triggers. And I want to know, okay, I've got an idea now where this now takes over your life. You don't feel like doing anything, right? You said one of the things about anxiety when it becomes a disorder, you start to eliminate activities around your life.
You avoid things that you somehow in your, okay, I go to the grocery store. Right. You and I are standing in line. We're talking. We're just going to make a friendly dinner. And all of a sudden I get that blast of energy. I start sweating because when your heart rate increases, it's like a workout. So I start sweating. My heart rate's increased. I feel like my chest is tight. I can't really get a good breath. Okay. And, I shake. I would shake like I can't even, like, I would literally be like this, you know, and I couldn't control it. And I would always try and do this number, you know, and it's hard to fake it because I don't like, that makes me uncomfortable to say that because I can think back all those times that I had that shake, or I would not, I couldn't get from here, all those things that are running around crystal clear in my head. You're gonna die, there's something wrong, the doctors were wrong, you know, screw everyone, this is real, is running through your head while your
mind is on this trajectory of like the worst case scenario and everything.
Oh God,
right? You go, it's like you think of the worst possible outcomes.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah,
it's
we're really
like a
good
momentum,
at that.
you cannot stop. It's like a rampage. A rampage running through your head.
Tornado.
Yeah.
I like the tornado because
my God,
swishes, and it's very, very clear, very focused. And so then it starts making you feel things, and it sucks you into that vortex of emotion. So
Right.
now I'm standing there with you, and you're like, do you have the money? And I don't know, because I haven't heard a word you've said since this started.
Right.
And I'm trying to function, and I'm shaking, and my legs feel like rubber, like they cannot hold me. You know, I'm just whoa, like this, like I feel like I'm going to drop to the floor at any second. And then you get dizziness.
Yeah.
When you hyperventilate like that,
Right. I can
you
just
get
imagine.
dizzy. And so then you start to feel like you're going to pass out. And you're standing in the middle of the grocery store, and there's all these people around functioning normally. And even if you're with me, you have no idea unless you know, like my friends can tell. Like if I start shaking, sometimes they'll touch my hands, you know, just like this. They'll just do this. And I'm like, oh God, sorry, you know.
So
Hide them.
I mean, you described it so well. So a couple of things I want to ask you, if you're okay with that, is you told me once, you gave me an example that I still cannot, I will never understand, about when you said someone just take a bath, and you said bath, why would I want to go or shower? I remember you said that, and you said,
Oh, yeah.
I want you to tell our audience about that, because I was so blown by it. Yeah.
So let's say that we're in the grocery store and we actually make it home. Okay. And I'm just, you know, because it's escalating. Because now I'm more afraid of what's going on, which has caused more adrenaline and cortisol to fall into my system. So now it's even propelling itself faster and more furious. And so I get to a point where I literally can't think anymore. Like once it gets to that point, you just can't think. You just know you're dying and you need to get safe. That was always get safe would run through my head. Get safe. So we're doing this, and let's say I look at you and say, I'm flipping out, like I'm losing it here. And you say, oh, why don't you go take a hot bath? Relax. Bitch, if I could relax, do you not think I would have?
Exactly.
Like, serious, do you not think that if I could get in naked and get in a tub and just make it all go away, that I would not have already done that?
Right.
I'm thinking take me to the ER because my ass is dying. And you say, go take a bath and relax. Take a walk. Oh, honey, go light a candle and listen to some music. Okay, here's my question. If you're having a heart attack, how would you feel if I told you to go take a hot bath or go take a walk or light a candle?
That is, yeah.
That's the
Oh my God, it's beautiful. I know. So, okay, wow. I mean, I love what you're telling me, because so for someone with a loved one who's experiencing the physiological response of anxiety, the last thing you want to do, because to give, I think just to give someone what we would call a rational response to an irrational reaction is stupid, right? And
well,
I did a lot of stupid.
But you don't know.
I did a lot of stupid things, Michelle.
No, it's not stupid, because I know you love your daughter, and I know you beat yourself up. I'll give you hugs and kisses because you did the best that you could do. You didn't get it.
Yeah, I did not.
If you would have got it, you wouldn't have said that. But you just wanted her, just make it go away, because you couldn't.
Yeah.
You knew you couldn't. When they get frustrated with me and they're like, just stop, I'm like, okay, I will. And I don't tell you anymore. I shut down to you completely, because I don't want you to hurt me.
No.
So if you look at it like this, if your daughter was having a heart attack and you said to her, go take a hot bath, go take a walk, light a candle, listen to some music, you would think you were ridiculous. You would never say that. But on the other hand, you don't want to give it that credibility that makes the victimization more profound for her.
Okay,
So
now you tell me what someone can do then.
That's it. Let's talk about what we can do. Don't touch them.
Okay.
Okay? Do not try and hug them and love them, because even though they love you, they're having this war zone go on in their head, the bombing and the fatalities. It's bad.
Yeah.
Say, I'm here if you need me.
Yeah.
Then we can start commenting, okay, if I can't handle it, she's going to call 911, right?
That's right.
So I'm here if you need me.
Nice.
If you want me to distract you, I will distract you. because distraction works. And why we know something is extremely wrong with us, but it's not necessarily what they say at the doctor's office, for me, it was always just a tad bit off. Oh, it's just your anxiety. Well, I know that. I know it's just my anxiety. Say the word just one more time, I'll punch you in the throat.
I know.
Just
Oh, I can just, I mean, I can just imagine you feeling that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And here I am in the doctor's office. I used to wear rubber bands on my wrist. I will pull that thing back this far, bap. I would be bloody from just trying to stay in a doctor's appointment. And my doctor one time said, please stop doing that. You're making me uncomfortable. And I said, please stop minimizing my anxiety. You're making me uncomfortable.
Right.
So he wouldn't see me anymore. So I got kicked out of my doctor because I made him uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So what you can do is say,
if he could only understand your discomfort to actually have got to that point of doing that.
yeah.
What's with us? We always think we've got a solution for everything, but we don't.
But you do if you know the right solution.
Yes, yeah.
Right solution. So let's take the positive perspective.
Let's do that. I want to hear that. Yeah.
Yes, would be to say, I'm here if you need me.
I'm here.
Okay, I'm here if you need me. What I see happening, and like you're going to cheat because now you know all the answers. You've had adrenaline and cortisol dump into your system. Do you have any water anywhere? Great. Here's your water. Drink 4 ounces of the water.
Practical. Yeah.
4 big gulps. That adrenaline and cortisol in 4 minutes is going to start breaking up and washing itself out.
Right.
Okay. So let's get you some water, you know? And sometimes, like, there was a Facebook thing one time. I don't want to make a mess, but there's a guy trying to drink some water and the water's flying everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, that's me. That's me right there. That's me. The water's flying everywhere as I'm trying to, you know, get through this panic attack.
Right.
And so, yeah, so you want to have water because it's going to flush it back out. Now, you can tell them you're tense. Let's drop the shoulders. That's it. We don't want to talk about just drop your shoulders. Because most of the time we're up to our ears, you know, just drop your shoulders, okay? And now we're going to take those negative thoughts you're having and we're going to steer them to positive thoughts. Okay? Yes. I know you're having these negative thoughts, so I'm going to say something positive. Cotton candy.
Right.
Sugar cookies. A teddy bear. A warm, billowy breeze. Laying out on the beach. At the water slide park.
That would be my thing. On the beach. Yes.
Who doesn't love the beach, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And just try and say, you know, I just need you to think of something else. Can you think of something? Okay. Now, if somebody's really, really in a massive attack, I use what's called blue light healing in a totally different way. So it's been proven scientifically, if I have a wound, that if I put a blue light on it, it will heal faster. Proven, scientific proof, evidence. So I use the color blue. If you were having an attack right now, I'd say, Jen, look around you and describe everything you can to me that's blue. Just start naming anything that's blue. Okay, so now look around you.
Yes, the house,
The sky, the house, my water bottle. I have a bikini laying right here. It's blue. I have some dish soap on my desk for some ungodly reason. It didn't make it to the kitchen. The blue dish soap.
We won't go there.
Right. But, and then you see, you can hear a difference if you listen to them. You can hear the, I have my contact case is blue.
So some grounding work. Grounding.
They need to come out of here and see things around here.
Outside. I love that.
So you can, like when I have a hotline, an anxiety relief hotline. It's 1-800-819-5171. We'll flash that on a screen somewhere. 1-800-819-5171. When you call me and you're in a panic attack, my team is trained to hesitate only momentarily to make sure that you don't need to call 911. If you can speak to me and you're breathing and you can get the words out, then I know you're okay. And it's probably just your anxiety. So then I'm going to say, I need you to look around and find anything blue and name it for me. I see a picture here that's got a blue sky. I've got the blue dish soap. I have a Dallas Cowboys baseball cap right there. It's got beautiful blue. I have a bikini that's blue. My contact case. I've got some sticky notes, a mouse pad, a lid cover. And you can hear them start to regulate.
I love that.
Once they start to regulate, you say, that took less than 30 seconds.
Yes.
And they're like, what? You went from revved and ramped up to regulated, I'm okay, in less than 30 seconds. Now I need you to get some water, and I need you to drink 4 ounces of water. 4 swallows of water is going to break that cortisol and adrenaline up and bring you down and let it flush itself back up.
Beautiful.
I've got you.
Beautiful.
Okay?
I love it.
Right. So then all of a sudden, I become their hero because I just pulled them out of that vortex of hell. Yes. And so then you then become a hero and a safe person. But you have to set boundaries with yourself. Because then you're going to get the phone call every time it happens. Yes. And we're going to need to entrust that we can empower them to find the blue on their own.
That's the most important part. So recognize that it's happening. Recognize it's happening. Don't define yourself by that happening. Recognize it's at that moment. It's happening. Do something scientific, like what you said. The water is purely. We all need that. So the water to what you said, break down the cortisol. Recognize you're going to get over it. Recognize then you do something outside yourself to now bring you down from that trauma, that instant reaction, bring it all down. And I mean, imagine if we taught kids that whenever they experience anything stressful. What I really like, what I wanted to ask you as well, is before we get to where people are now feeling this anxiety, or experiencing anxiety, whereby now it's also come to a form of a disorder. You mentioned all those traumatic events, and now you're triggered by these things that are going on in your life. Things that from the onlooker, they're such small things, but they don't understand what brought you there.
Right.
But I want you to talk to when we are, with children and all that. We do so. I feel when my kids were young, I intellectualized emotions. So the way I avoided feeling, which is what you experience those traumatic events, and now those feelings must have taken over, and it became now anxiety. What can we do? What can we do before we get to that point? What can we do when we experience events like you did?
Grief and the process of grief or chaos and toxicity is allow the emotions. As much as we don't want to do that, we must evolve to find a safety in being able to allow the emotions. I remember someone saying to me one time, all emotions are temporary. I remember I won MVP at a national softball tournament, and by God, that felt good. That felt good. That was a whole tournament play. It was on a national level. It was ranked. I was good at what I did.
Yeah.
And I was noticed. And I had all these things. They gave me a ball bag and a bat and T-shirts and baseball caps, just all this stuff. And so it was always around. And when I would see that, I would think, that was awesome. And I could feed that emotion. And what I had to learn was, as soon as I had the emotion and stuff, it was gone unless I fed it again. So emotions are like little animals, okay? So you can have the nice little bunny and you give it a piece of carrot and it's fluffy and soft and, or I can have the rabid dog sitting over here and I could spank at it and make it more angry and feed it that way.
Yes.
So I need to be able to be in a safe place to have the emotions. And if you need support, then have the support. But it really is, if you don't feed that emotion, it doesn't continue. You have an average of 70,000 thoughts a day. Did you know that?
Yes. Yes.
Hang on to all of them.
No.
That would be
You
very
can
exhausting.
choose. You choose which ones you want to feed, like what you said.
Yeah.
I mean, emotions are great. You see, when I was raised, like, you know, grin and bear it,
Mm,
not even acknowledge your emotions.
yeah.
I love, you know, what you said. Emotions are there. I think they're an indicator. They're telling us, they're messages, right? And
That's
we,
Annie.
yeah, and
Yeah.
their emotions are like waves. And you see, I love surfing and the whole idea of the beach. So emotions to me are like waves. You get to choose which ones you want to surf.
Right. And
Right.
they're all going to come in, but
Yeah.
you don't have to stand up on the board on every one of
No,
them.
no,
So
no,
let's not
no.
hold those ones, the
Yeah,
ones that are going to give us the tube and we're going to be able to ride it. Let's hold on to those. I use an analogy of a butterfly net. Okay, because in my mind, I have a very pretty place that I can go to, and it's
right.
a field with flowers. And I trawl up and run through this field. I guess that's who I
Beautiful.
am.
Yeah.
Well, if thoughts are floating around there, then I can take that butterfly net and I want to catch those good ones. Like I'm thinking Easter dinner at my family's coming
Mm,
this, I have
right.
all my girls together for the first time in 5 years.
Nice.
Snag that thought, put it
Yes.
in my hand and hold on to it. Oh, I'm going to look at it. I can't wait. Okay. So that's great. So let's say there's a negative thought. Well, you don't want to snag. Yes, you do. You do. You want to snag that negative thought and you want to put it here and you want to look at it. Let me think of a negative thought.
You know what? So
When you
what's
try, it's hard. Okay, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning. I was not comfortable.
yes.
I knew I wasn't going back to sleep, and I thought, oh, God, I hate being alone in the middle of the night. The whole world goes to sleep but me. Okay, so I put that in there, and I feel lonely. And I put that in there, and I say, well, I feel lonely because everybody's asleep. But the reality is, I have a 15-year-old. I could knock on his door. I can go next door. I can call my daughter. I can do anything. Let it go.
Yes.
I felt lonely for a moment. Let it go.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I get
Exactly.
Easter with my family and I want to hold on to that. And I don't want to let it go and it slides out anyway. Okay, let it go. And all I have to do is think the girls are going to be here Sunday. There it is again.
Yes.
But we
Yeah.
feed it. I can grab that.
We can choose
steer.
what we think,
Yeah.
and you can turn it around. You know what's so phenomenal about what you just said? I love it because my senses a few years ago, the thoughts of people coming over and you having to prepare dinner might have created a different set of emotions. Might be quite anxious. You might have been, oh my God, I've got to do this. But
Oh,
now you
yeah.
look at it and it's, oh, this is lovely. This is pretty. You look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Something that could have been so like scary in some way or overwhelming can now be seen in a positive light.
Right.
Even yeah, isn't
And
but
see,
that's the whole point.
yeah,
Yeah.
where I was, people always had to come and visit me.
Yes.
Like right now, my family's coming to visit me
Yes.
because I still can't drive just yet the hour and a half away. I'm 85 to 90% fully recovered, but I still have not traveled out of town and I still don't function as well by myself as I would like. Like I'm here in my office by myself and I don't know where anybody's at. I could not have done that 3 months ago.
Yes.
Three short months ago, I could not do this. I
No.
had to know where somebody was. Okay.
Right.
So, what might have once been an anxious experience for me, it's changing because we're reconditioning the way we think.
You're rewiring.
Reconditioning, yes.
Totally.
Yeah, the rewiring part, I was talking to my daughter yesterday. She was talking about karma, and she has this belief of karma is actually based on intentions.
Yes.
Okay, not actually the act. So we were talking about that, and
I
I
agree with her. Yeah.
kind of, get it and kind of don't. She said, everybody that's doing all these good things for people, they're not going to get good karma because you're only doing it so you get the good. That's the wrong reason for doing it.
Right.
And I said, well, I just want to be a good person. Like I do stuff because I want to be treated the same way.
Yes.
And she said, then you never will be treated the same way. And I'm like, I don't get that. Because I don't want to go do stuff if I'm not going to get a reward. I mean, granted, there are times. But we talked about if there was a child being beaten up by a father, I would go out and stop that. I don't care who you are.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, but the problem is, as soon as I find out that the child set his dad's bed on fire last night, I want to throw my hands up and say, beat his ass. There's always you don't always know what's going on. And so for me, this is not an anxious situation because I have my loves with me. I do not care what people think about me. If I don't cook well tonight, I don't care. Go order a pizza. It's taken a long time for me to get to that place because I worried about what people thought. And the more I worried about that, the worse people thought about me.
And I really am glad you said that.
Mm-hmm.
I get the sense, Michelle. I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off. But I wanted to say, and I got that while I was listening to your experiences and the trauma. And, and when you talked about the nakedness to me the other time, I don't want people to see me naked. What if they see me naked? And I thought to myself, I think so much of our anxiety comes from that place. What will they think of me?
Feelings.
Would I be right? What will they think of me?
Now, you've got remember, disorders are a little different, okay?
Yeah, okay, tell me. I want to know.
Right, genetically predisposed, meaning me and my 40 million Americans that suffer in anxiety disorder, me and my tribe, we would have outlived you in the dinosaur age.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, we would have, because we were much more in tune to the intuition. Okay, so that's one piece of it that nobody ever talks about.
And I get that. That's what I was wondering.
Mm-hmm.
You still
be sitting there at the campfire going, did I hear a twig snap?
Yeah.
My ass would have been gone. See ya.
Right.
I hear the twig snap. I don't sit around and wait for it. I run.
So you're more in tune.
Absolutely.
We've learned to just shut things out too much. Right. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Right. So that's the kind of people. But when you're talking about generalized anxiety disorder, I think that is the top layer of an anxiety disorder. I think everybody who has an anxiety disorder grounds out at the generalized, just a general sense of anxiety to begin with. But then you branch off. You've got panic and anxiety disorder, which was me. You've got social anxiety disorder, which those are the people who really have a problem with what other people think. Okay. I really wasn't like that much. Now, there are certain people that I want to care, and I care about what they think, which I'm getting better at that even.
Yes.
But then there's PTSD, people like me who have experienced those traumatic things that your body you get run down. When you don't eat right, you don't sleep right, your body depletes itself of basic nutrients, magnesium, potassium, the B vitamins. And so those are gone and they help you for optimal performance. Right. Hydration. We don't drink water and get ourselves hydrated. That is the biggest flaw of the world, is that you're not fully hydrated. And your body does not function at optimal performance without being fully hydrated. So you've got those factors that are physical that play into it. And so once you start worrying or obsessing, OCD is a form of anxiety. So you've got the obsessive worry, the constant rituals trying to stop the worry.
Right.
And so when you have fear of flying, phobias, simple phobias, all of those things compel a person to be lumped in the generalized anxiety category and then come down to these branches.
Right.
So when you really look at these people that are predisposed, they react quicker. Like if I remember at my highest form of distress, if you would have dropped a pin on the floor, I would have heard it and jumped. Loud noises. I can't even think. A car backfiring, a horn honking. I would physically do that. I mean, it got me that bad. Now, the other day, I was doing something. I was walking past a car and they honked. They were trying to be funny. And I just turned around and went, "You're a jackass." Because before that would have just had me jumping out of my skin. So finely honed to this physical response. And so now I don't do it as quickly, and I think, well, I kind of like that, but I fit more in that category here. If you say the word drive to Wichita, I will tense up. I mean, that's my challenge right now. I'm on my last 2 challenges, and they're both huge. I have to get on the highway and travel after not being in a car on a highway for 21 years. It is foreign to me. It is not fun yet, but I'm doing it. I'm getting on and I'm doing small pieces. I do a 1/4 mile trek at a time. I make sure someone's in the car with me. Sometimes I drive, sometimes I don't. I don't want to put anybody in jeopardy. And so you have to branch out. I had my girlfriend video the drive home on the highway a week ago. I almost threw up the entire time. Like, I literally made myself feel like I was in that car, and I was like, oh yeah, there's the digestive system suspending, because I'm gonna chuck it all, so variably working, you have all of these triggers. Yes. And so somebody who is prone to triggering, we're just finely honed. I mean, we're really good at it. That's and right. So, right. If you told me, like, do you have fear of heights or fear of flying, any of that fun stuff?
None. None.
I hate you.
My thing was, it could be an ego, but when I was a kid, I almost drowned when I was a little one. When I was about 12, I almost drowned, and then they pulled me out, and I made it. My whole thing in life, which is not exactly something to be proud about, was to find out I will never have any fear. I was telling myself, but you know what, Michelle, the only thing I realized I really feared was if my children made choices that were self-destructive. The only thing I feared, nothing else I feared. Right. And I used to be quite proud that I have no fears, but the one thing that I had a fear of, turned out to be a reality. But again, the power of your thoughts, where do you focus on, right? But I love what you said so much. The thing that I got from it is surround yourself with people that fully understand you. When you said, I saw the joy when you said, when you woke up at 4 and you thought, oh, my girls are going to be here.
Yeah.
Be with people that give you that joy, people that understand. She understood you. She's videotaping. She got you. Do you need help?
She doesn't get me at all.
Oh, she...
No, not at all. I had to ask. I said, would you do this for me? Okay. How's it going?
You're empowered. Oh, look out. Good for you, girl.
No, this is the one person I do not want to disappoint. I walk on eggshells. I do not want to disappoint. I want to grow. I want to, be everything exemplary. So, I do care, and I'm getting better.
So there's some personality traits that lend themselves to a bit of an anxiety disorder. Would you say that?
No, see, I'm thinking that's just some normal stuff. Like, here's the beauty of it. I don't physically react to that.
No.
Like, we had a little tiff last weekend. And it was so funny because I was the one that held the grudge, and I'm usually the one that I have it, I feel it, I let it go. Okay. And it was me that made the mistake. Yeah, I'm the one that did it, but it was just it was a habit.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. I didn't want her touching my food. She had cooked the food. So why couldn't she touch my pancake? Right? Why not? And I'm like, oh, don't. Oh my God, I saw the look, and I'm like, oh, I am so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to say it. You can touch it all you want. Lick it. I don't care. Throw it on the floor, step on it. I will eat it. But it was that I was conditioned.
Right.
I'm habitual. And because I didn't think about, like, you can touch my food when you're making, my 15-year-old we were making cinnamon roll pancakes. Okay, so you put the batter in the pan, and then you put this cinnamon roll kind of filling, and you drip it into the batter as it's cooking, and then you flip it over. So I'm pouring the batter, she's flipping, he's doing the cinnamon roll thing, so there's all these hands in it. And I know he didn't wash his hands. I mean, he's 15 years old, and I was like, oh God.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, so it wasn't about that. You know, it's not about the dirt or, you know,
Yeah.
beating out. It wasn't. It was just me in
Instinctive.
my head.
Yeah.
So we got him done, and everything was all good. Well, I didn't want syrup on mine. And she's like, oh, here, put some syrup, and reaches for it. And I'm like, don't. And boom, we were done.
Oh,
Like, we
wow.
were done. Because
Yeah.
this is somebody who went through this for a very long time. They don't want to deal with this. It's not their job. Get over it is all that matters. But it's my job to get over it. So you don't have to have that understanding. You can have people around you who do not understand, do not want to understand it, do not want to deal with it.
Okay.
Still loves me, still thinks I'm a hero, still
Aww.
thinks I'm an equal, you know, and that's just it. The reality is,
Yeah.
and here was the answer. It's okay. I know that's just who you are. No, it's not. So
Okay.
that was what the little tiff was about.
Okay, yeah.
Because
Okay.
it's not who I am.
No.
It was a habit that I had that I'm trying to break, but I didn't
Yeah.
see it coming.
Yeah.
And then I felt horrible, and, you know, I kept apologizing. I'm really, really sorry.
Oh.
That's all. I don't care. I'm watching TV. Leave me alone. You know? And the next morning, I'm like, I'm really sorry. Look, you're the one holding on to it, not me. I'm fine. And I went, okay, then. Let it go. Let it go. But for me, I'm not worried about what people think that I don't care about. If I don't know you, I don't care. If I care about you, I may care about what you think. People that I want to impress, you know, that's the one person I want to be impressed with me. I want to be solid. And they know all my inner stuff. So, you know, they know. But as far as like not really a safe person, doesn't want to be safe, but wants to go shopping and not have to deal with it, you know. And so for me, I've learned that I have to give them that. She's not responsible for me. My friends are not responsible for having to answer that phone or taking time out of their day. And there's days I'm very angry with them. Very angry. I want them to be there for me. But that's me being immature. That's me being stuck back in that conditioned response of, if you love me, then you have to accept me for who I am. Okay, that's great, but I just told you that's not who I am. My anxiety is not who I am. This is who that is. And we just punch her in the face for it. Okay? That's who that is. Yeah, me, I'm pretty chill most of the time.
But it must have impacted your relationships, eh?
I lost my spouse because of it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You can deal with it for so long before it just starts eating your lunch. You know, and that's like me. I always, I would have relationships. I think my average relationship was like probably 2 years, right? Amazing people.
Yes.
And at the end of that time, I'd be like, nah, you can go. You know, I could see them getting frustrated. I'd be like, no, go. It's not worth it. You know, I can't beat it. I don't want you stuck here with me. My spouse, I think it was 6, I don't know how many, I always think 6 years, but I think I'm wrong. So stuck with it pretty long, but we had some rough times with it. And at one point you just know that they're better off if they can go have their happiness. But here's my problem. The reality is, you know, when you have a soulmate, when you have someone who really, truly loves you for who you are, it doesn't go away just because, you know, they don't want to deal with you or you want to give them their freedom or whatever that case may be. It doesn't go away. And so I was very lucky to contain the best friend piece of it. And so, so we still have that piece, although it doesn't really work very well in other relationships. You know, you're
very fortunate. But you probably can also see the fact that you are not just like, oh, I've got this and that's it. You've done so much.
I never really played the victim.
No, you've never done that. No, I can hear that. You know, and again, it's how we how we choose to view things.
It
Like you
is.
said, I just thought it's really lovely. You know, you woke up and you saw, oh, this is something I can look forward to. Again,
Yeah.
the future. You're looking forward to a compelling future, something looking forward to it.
Right.
And
But
then,
it was an hour-long struggle, Jen. I
yeah,
mean, it wasn't,
right.
I still have
No,
those. It was an hour-long struggle. And then I just went back to sleep. And I get up and my 15-year-old is gone. I didn't even take him to school today. So I was assuming he thought, oh, she's sleeping. I'm just going to grab a ride somewhere, you know. And I'm like, ugh. You know, I let down my responsibilities. But it was really cool. So,
yeah.
and I
And
think that, you know, talking about that it's not who you are, but it is such a very integral part
yeah,
of who you are, but it makes you so wonderful in some ways and so bad in others.
we're
Like,
just human. Yeah.
yeah. And you know, when we're in that chaotic place, we are not fun. We are
And
not fun.
I want to ask you a question. The about the the chaos. Would I be correct in saying that it's someone with an anxiety disorder? Maybe are they attracted to chaos or not at all? There's no correlation at all between what that personality's predisposition is like.
You know, I'm not
I want
sure.
to.
I'm not sure I can answer that, but I can
Yeah.
tell you that you will attract. The law of attraction says you will attract
Yes.
what you
What
are.
we
And
think
so,
on.
yeah, when you're chaotic like that, it's what you attract. Now, is it comfortable for you? I don't think so. So here may be the difference. When you're toxic like that, I was so incredibly toxic in my own self.
Okay.
I would attract others who were as toxic, you know, in a different way.
Yes.
And so once I would realize where they were, it was very uncomfortable, you know. But then you start getting that dynamic of blaming and shaming people, you know, blaming someone for being toxic. That doesn't do any good. Empower them to move past the
It's
toxicity.
beautiful. Yeah.
And so I found myself when I was moving towards recovery, wanting everybody to get well. I just want everybody to get well now. Like I see this and I'm like, oh, hey, you can do
That's
something.
why we're doing this. We do
Yeah.
want them to be
But you
whole.
have to have somebody who's willing. And I think people that are truly chaotic, like I have one in particular, I had to just walk out of that life.
Yeah.
And it hurt me because there were children involved.
Mm.
I had custody of these children and I just could not handle the toxicity. And they never wanted to change it. They were comfortable there, is what I felt. And I'm not their judge.
No.
So
No.
if that's where you're comfortable staying, that's great. But I can't stay there. I'm not comfortable there. And so I
You
have,
always have the power. You always have, and the power is always in you, even in your anxiety situations.
it
You always.
is, but you got to learn that.
You've
You
got to
don't
learn.
always know that. And that's what we need to empower people to understand right now. If you have an anxiety disorder and you're one of my tribes, vibe with this.
Yes.
You can do this, but we're going to have to let you know that you can.
Yes.
Because whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Henry Ford, astounding quote.
Yes.
But what you learn with the master plan is that you have negative confidence. You have confidence in what you cannot do. And I need to treat you as though we can throw that over here and you can become confident in what you can do. So the master plan takes you through these challenges. And it literally starts with your easiest challenge first, so that you start developing this confidence, and little by little, you flip that to positive confidence or a positive perspective.
Perfect.
So,
I love that. And again, it's a choice. You made a choice. You said, you know what? And I love that you're not putting it on anyone. You make the choice, and you have even the word power within, like just the word power within, it instantly changes your physiology. You know what I'm saying?
you
Yeah,
know what's really crazy? We're going to try a little test, okay?
Okay.
We're just going to smile for no reason for 30 seconds, okay? So we just have to smile. Now, as you do that, I want you to focus on your body, especially your core.
Yeah.
Right here, I feel release of tension if I do this.
I love
My
it.
legs, I can feel the different, how quickly my arms feel lighter. just smiling for 30 seconds.
Amazing.
What, I have control of that. If I could remember to smile in every negative situation, I don't feel the negativity.
No, you don't. And you know what? It starts to dissipate. It really does.
Yes. I'm telling you, that smile for 30 seconds does incredible things for you. And like, I'll be someplace and I'll start to get a little negative, and I'll smile. And I start looking around and people are like, you know, because then they're smiling with me, and I just, you know, I just wave to people, like when I'm doing this, like this is an exercise for me.
Yeah.
And I do this and they're doing, I just like, and then I try and look away and not make them uncomfortable. But that 30-second smile, if you can just kick back, total quiet, total peace, smile for 30 seconds and feel what it does to your body.
Oh, it's sensational. I love it.
It's like the sun shining on you. It's like the sun shining on you when you can feel the heat start to heat you. Because I lay out. Like I'm that person. I want to lay out, and I call it baking, because I can literally feel myself getting warmer.
I love it.
You know? And I was a redhead when I was little. Like I grade sort of this color and I tone it up every once in a while. But I was a redhead, so I sunburnt bad. Like I go outside, I will burn like a lobster. And so I would always think to myself, it's like being in an oven and I'm cooking. So when I lay out, I go out and like bake myself. I think, oh, I'm just going to go bake a couple of brownies here. You know, I'm just going to go heat myself up.
Yes.
And that feeling of warmth and that the vitamins that you get from that sunlight are incredible. My mom was here this week. Very negative. I cannot stress the negativity. I made her go with me a couple of places, and I just made sure it was sunny out when I did it. And all of a sudden, she started coming out of it a little bit. Just a little bit of sunshine. Because she's in the house, she's sick, she's in pain. And that serotonin, those good feelings, the dopamine, the serotonin, all those good things come from outer limits. The sun is a big one.
Yes, amazing. I'm a sun person. I love the smiling thing, you know. What's a lovely, again, Michelle, you went from debilitating anxiety to empowering. You know what I mean? Helping people take away the toxicity, like with your mom, and turn things around. You know, and everything is a choice. When you said about feeling a bit lonely at 4 o'clock, and for me, if I wake up early too, but not that early, but when I wake up early and if I am alone, I think, oh my God, it's a great time for creativity.
Right.
If I'm not there cuddling, it's like, oh, it's a great time for creativity. Like you say, I love how you looked at in your hand. If we can all do that every morning, you know, even purely from a figuratively speaking way of speaking, looking what's in our hand at the beauty that's coming our way.
Right.
The relationships you see, right?
Well, and it's like this, you know, you and I talked about the fact you said you cannot control the first thought you have of a day when you wake, but the rest of them you can control. And I thought about that. One of the exercises in the master plan is to put a sticky note or some sort of note beside your bed that says, today's opportunity is ... I
love that.
Because you can steer, we're steering that perspective. We have, if you want to have a positive perspective, you will have a positive perspective because you will steer it there.
Yes.
I don't want to be anxious anymore. I am 55 years old next month. Okay, 55 years old. I've spent the entirety of my adult life being afraid. I have missed out on so much.
You have.
And I just can't anymore. I can't. I'm too old. When the anxiety, when it hits my body, it's different now. And I don't like it because I was always in pretty decent shape. So it didn't affect me like it has after 50 was not good. I mean, there's definitely a difference in your body post-menopausal for women that anxiety tore me up. It wasn't the same. And so
you have to let us know more about that on the next one. It's
Yeah, I don't know that I know much about it. I just know I didn't want it anymore. Because something had to give.
and you know what? I think, I mean, having children, I think itself can be quite stressful, or living with children and teens. So
I,
lots of women would love to know that.
I had 271 children
Oh my God.
plus my own in 16 years. Because I've got my adopted daughter, she's 23, I've had her since birth. And I have two stepdaughters. Okay, so my daughter's 23. The youngest they're 23 the same time. So she's 22 right now, she'll be 23. Then I have a 21, just turned 26. And then my stepson is 28. And then I've got, I count a couple of others that weren't necessarily mine, but I had a hand in raising. So all those years in that anxiety, I swear what kept me going was those children and their youth and their vitality and their smiles and their hugs. And, you know, I decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to raise children anymore. And along came my 15-year-old. I had him in foster care when he was 3 months old until he was almost 2. And I've been a part of his life. So he's always welcome. And so he'll be leaving next month is the plan, to go back home. And so even though I say I wouldn't do it, I would do it in a minute if I needed to.
Yes.
But do I want to sign on to raise the children that I came out of that chaotic custody situation? I do not want to raise them because I do not want to be attached to the family's chaos. I didn't function well in that. And I'm thankful for them and that family because they showed me that I did not want to function that way. And I had to struggle to find a different answer. So I give them blessing and credit for making me move forward. So
yeah. Resiliency is what comes to mind for me when I listen to that story, right?
Right.
The commonality is that we can make choices that increase our resiliency in situations we might feel we were thrust upon, or you know, or thrust in, or find ourselves in. And the resiliency is quite, we all have access to those things that give us that resiliency. One, you said, is physiological. You know, take care of your body, drink water, fundamental. Exercise. I love exercise. To me, exercise is my go-to. Exercise, nature, being outside. I mean, it's free. Nature is there.
It is. But can you imagine if every time you began to exercise and your heart rate increased and your respiration increased, that you felt like you were having a panic attack and began avoiding it? And that's what happens to a lot of us with anxiety disorder, is that, those first essential workouts, they're not easy. So we take 30 minutes of cardio exercise as our goal every day for the master plan. We start out 1 minute. Do 1 minute on the bicycle today. Tomorrow, do at least 1 minute or more. Beautiful. And every day you build. And then it's not, it doesn't hurt you. And that's what, when I built the master plan, I wanted to make sure that it took into account all these things that people like me feared. I had to start out really slow, but
and it's growth.
Quick.
You're working in the right direction and you're growing.
30 days later, you got 30 minutes of cardio and you don't even think about it. You know, I go on there and I play on Facebook because I'm really bad at promoting on Facebook. My average minutes are like 13 minutes a day. And my daughter's like, you need to be up to 5 hours. And I'm like, what? Never will I spend 5 hours on social media in a day.
No,
I don't want to. So I get on there and I make myself, you know, play on social media and say hi to people and do what I can do. So I'm building my times up on social media.
And so, discipline too, Michelle, by the sounds of it. Discipline is key.
Yeah, right? Well, I think so. And there's days like I haven't exercised for a week and I can feel it. Now, it doesn't mean that I haven't had exercise because I've gone out, I've been shopping and walking and done stuff, but I haven't actually been on the bike because I'm transitioning from my inside bike to I've gotten my outside bike out, but I haven't gotten the tires checked and stuff like that. So I'm sort of in that stall. But the discipline would say, you should have done that the first day the bike came out. And I didn't. So yeah, discipline has a lot to do with it. And I'm very self-disciplined in certain areas and then very bad about self-discipline in others. Like I'm still a smoker, you know, I hate that I smoke, but I'm not going to quit that today. It's just not, I know it's not going to be today. Right. Do I cut down? Do I only smoke when necessary? Yeah, I try. You know, while my mom was here, I could have lit 2 packs at one time. So, you know, I mean, you always have a destination, right? Yeah. You're a goal-oriented person. You have a destination, but are you enjoying the journey? The journey's not always enjoyable.
I just made a choice, surround myself with what brings me joy.
Right. And sometimes that's great, you know, but life is not always joyous. If we didn't have the balance of the good and the bad, we wouldn't know what really good was if we didn't know what really bad was. And so my thing is, you know, just kind of bring it back down to, you know, I want this.
I get what you mean. And I think that's like when I listen to, you know, the situations you were thrust in brought you anxiety, and some of the ways some of us choose, which I don't necessarily think is any healthier, is like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go in there anymore. But sometimes I needed to feel what my daughter was going through. And I'm rather like, keep it up here. It's not a solution. It's just different ways of dealing with an anxious situation, right? I want my way also to be healthy, which means is I listen. I want to be present. I want to listen. I want to be there, hear you, feel you. And I see you. I want the person to leave feeling like they were heard.
That's a key.
Heard and seen. And just saying, you know what, okay, I don't really like the situation, I'm gone, is not the way to do that. I love what you said. So it might, maybe the joy, I mean, maybe the answer for me is, the answer, I think, for me personally, because I might not have anxiety, but my way of dealing with life might have been, I'm not going to go in that situation and intellectualize. Maybe the answer is find the joy in the being for someone else.
Right.
You know, being there. Yeah, I love it.
Experiencing joy. You know, people that have anxiety disorders, they don't have a lot of joy. One of the key exercises in the very beginning is learning how to give 5 minutes of joy alone. Just something that you enjoy by yourself for 5 minutes.
Right.
And that's hard for them to find. That list is almost zero.
Yes.
And so they have to build on that, and they have to learn how to celebrate every small success.
Gratitude. Start with gratitude, what they can be thankful for. Yeah.
Well, it's hard though, because I can honestly say I'm a very gracious person. I love my God. I have gratitude, but it didn't work for me. It didn't pull me out of the place. Like for what it did to other people, it did not work for me like that. I had to learn how to celebrate, because I was so hard on myself trying to make it through a day, surviving, that I forgot that I did good things. All I could see was, well, I survived those attacks. I survived that. And I didn't really, like, I never knew that I was accomplished. I never knew that I was insightful. What I saw was my anxiety. I saw me for who my anxiety was. And let's just say, when I was staring at Annie every day, that's what I saw, an ass. Okay, that's what I saw, is just an ass every day. And so now that she's out of my way, you know, I wrote 23 books. Okay,
I know.
I didn't used to say much about that, because here's my thing. I wrote 23 books because it helped me distract from my anxiety. That's why I wrote so much. I got lost in it. I used it as a tool.
Right.
It was nothing. I can write a book for you in 2 months, a full 400-page book in 2 months. It's easy for me, because I will sit down and do it, because then I don't have to think about anything else. What I find now is I have things that I want to do outside of my home, outside of my office. And now I have to make time to write. Like I've got that new book coming out. I'm only on chapter 4. You know, we're editing as we go because I'm so far behind. But I know I'm going to get it done, and I know it'll be out May 15th. And it'll
Look
be
at the affirmation. There you go. I love
because I know that.
So, so one more thing you said that's key. So I'm going through the day in my head of somebody with anxiety, and what you said that resonates, I think, for anyone is celebrate your successes. So at the end of the day, imagine if you thought, or you went through all the things you did right rather than all the things you did wrong. All the things, celebrate. And the I have a feeling you celebrate it, because I've been trying to celebrate all the things you did right. The first thought in the morning would
It's
be
good.
amazing.
Yeah.
Be like, you're
It's
still
good now.
celebrating. Yeah,
And see, that's just it. Yeah. And like I told you, I'm on those 2 hard challenges for me.
right.
Like I have to celebrate that in the middle of the night, I was up for an hour, but then I went back to sleep. That's not the norm for me. Normally it would have been
But that's
somewhat
how you
anxious.
celebrate. Yeah.
Yeah, but I went back to sleep, and you know, my 15-year-old didn't wake me up, so I actually got to sleep. Like I see, you know, there's no real lines and stuff, so I got to sleep.
Right.
And I can celebrate that.
Yeah.
But I still forget to celebrate. I do.
Yes. Yes.
So, by the way, let's celebrate this episode 2 and get us a summation here.
Yes.
The beautiful, strong women that we are, and the empowerment that we can bring to other people.
And we need to celebrate that.
Absolutely.
We take for granted all the time. I mean, women, we're not, you know, it's interesting. I read this, and I did a survey myself that when a guy wins an award, all the accolades are on him. He tell you all the great things he did to get that award. And when I see women, like I met women who are scientists and won award, and I said, "Wow, you did great," and she will tell you all the people that helped her get there.
Exactly.
She said, "Well, this person, you know, Jenna, it wasn't that great. I did this person helped me. This person,"
Right.
and we're always sharing. We forget how amazing we are.
Well, if you think about it, this is the reality. Okay, I had 271 children, and 90% of the time I was single. Okay, and I think about this, and I'm like, how did I get through a day?
I'm anxious just listening to that.
How? And I made their meals, and I was a stay-at-home mom. You know, and I was making an income on top of that by writing, and you know, and it is hard to make money writing. People always say, "Oh, you're rich." Oh my God, are you kidding? I'd starve to death. I have to have garage sales. You know, there's days where we don't know where the food's coming from. Thank God.
Celebrate your resourcefulness. You are obviously that many kids.
Well, and you know wealth. If your wealth is compromised, liquidate. Go liquidate. So I always keep liquid assets. You know, I mean, I've got something. If I need to, I'll sell it. Yes, you know, and that's the sad part is when you have something like this that affects your mobility and affects your ability to work of a day, you can't always guarantee you're going to work. And so working outside for me was most of the time quite impossible.
Right.
I might get a year or 2 here and there that I could do it. But it always seemed to creep back in. You know, I would have some respite. I tried real hard, and I would get far enough and be okay for a while, and then I would fall back. And so it was kind of like the donkey that was in the hole and dirt just keeps flying in. I would have to stamp it down until I could climb out of the hole, and then something would knock me back in. And so that was really hard. And so my heart goes out to people that experience anxiety disorders, because we don't even get wealth management because we're just trying to survive a day. We don't.
Just trying to survive. That's what I hear. Survival mode.
Always.
Yeah.
And so now that I thrive, it's different. You know, and I've taken some risks this year, hoping that they pay off in the end.
Yes.
But you just don't know. Yeah.
They will.
I'll manifest that now. Yeah. I'll manifest it.
Yes.
And so that evolution of thinking is, I know what I'm capable of, so it's going to be fine. I don't know how I'll get there, but that for me is trusting in my higher power, that I will always be taking. There's not a day that I didn't have something to eat. I didn't die of starvation. Now I got fairly thin, but oh well.
Yeah. So I look at you as someone who's gone from, you know, an anxiety disorder to beyond managing, to mastering, to overcoming some of the things I've learned, the celebration, the physiological healing, which is taking the water, taking the exercise, the disciplines that have to be embedded in our day to help with that, because you owe it to yourself. The other things I hear from you is that resourcefulness is key, because you know, because it can be debilitating. It will impact your financial life. With anxiety, you found ways to be resilient. Your resilience has grown. People need to realize that they will find that growth,
They will
right?
find the growth
Yeah.
quite quickly, quite quickly.
And more than that, and even some other things I heard really clearly that I think, to me, exemplify or show ways to overcome anxiety is you have alluded a few times to a faith, so a higher power, alluding to a faith that's been sort of like a rock for you.
Well, yeah, I have a degree in Bible studies and ethics.
Yeah.
I mean, my faith is my foundation. Had I not had that foundation, I would have taken myself out long ago. Like if, you know, Annie's sitting there, that's so funny because so is Jesus.
Yes.
So, you know, I mean, for me, my higher power, and I understand that differently now. Like I understand God differently for me. That's a whole different podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get to
A
that one.
whole different podcast.
That would be a bestseller.
Oh yeah. Well, and it is, you know, it's
Yeah.
layman's religion.
Right.
Layman's religion is not just based on some hypothetical power. You know, for me, and I don't like to get biblical often.
No.
In the Bible, it references God as love more often than not.
Exactly.
So when people say they're not believers or they're unbelievers or agnostics or, you know, atheists or whatever the case, I'm like, that's cool. I mean, you are whatever you want to be.
Mm.
But have you ever been in love? Have you ever loved something? And
Yes.
like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Recognizing.
Then you know that for me, I'm like, you're a spiritual person because my God is in you, because my God is that love. And so if I do everything in love, then I'm walking Christ-like. And
Right,
for me, that's what being a Christian means. It's not beating you over the head with a Bible telling you what you're doing wrong all the time.
No.
And that's how I was raised. I'm a Catholic.
And I think that would just create more anxiety.
It did.
But
And honestly,
Yeah.
being raised a Catholic probably was a lot of my anxiety. You know, God will get you if you do something wrong. And here's the Catholic take on it. If you think about being that or doing that, you might as well have already done it because it's a sin just to think about it. And I'm like, oh, I'm a horrible person. You know, I was just a horrible person growing up because I thought about doing bad things. But then as I grew and found some existential thinking and evolved some with some maturity, you are not sinning if you think about doing something wrong. You must take the action. It's the intent.
If not, my mind had to be in the confessional all day.
Mine was. That's where I was all day long on my knees going, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, and now I finally see, you know, who I am. My God, I took care of 271 children and I actually liked most of them.
That's
I mean, I didn't even like them all. There's some broken ass kids out there.
I love how real you are, you know.
It's the truth.
You make me laugh. The thing I think so lovely, and I think it's love. So a love that's beyond just ourselves. And I think finally I wanted to interject that I think what's so empowering and healing in itself is you look outside yourself, something greater that comes from within yourself, which is the love.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been your healing too. Love.
Always.
Again, going back to your girls coming this weekend, that's love, loving your children. And also, even more amazing, I think part of the healing for any sort of, whether it's anxiety, anything that is sometimes overwhelming, is again helping someone else. I just feel that from you. You found a lot of healing just in helping other people.
Well, I think I said this just in the last month. I don't feel loved. I don't feel loved. Okay.
You don't.
Well, at that time,
Yeah.
yeah, and that was the truth. I don't feel loved. And I really had to look at that because my daughter's like, but I love you. And I'm like, but you're an ass. You say you love me, but if you say you love me and you punch me in the face, I don't get that feeling of love.
But
So
you need to
yeah,
feel loved.
she
Yeah.
sent me a text Sunday night that said, "Hey mom, I love you." And I'm like, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" You know, and like, nothing. And I said, "Are you okay?" You know, and she said, "I'm just trying to show love more." And I said, "Okay, don't do that again and scare me."
She
Because
was
it is, I
trying
mean,
though. She
well,
was
no,
trying.
you know, once she said, and we're really good about communicating it,
Yeah,
it may
that's
not be in
cute.
that moment, but my feelings of not being loved, I had this great support system and it just fell apart this last few months. I walked away from my essential support, the one I counted on the most, that I just couldn't do the chaos anymore. And I started noticing how much it brought me down.
Wow.
What an ugly person I would become to think about that. And I'm still having to let go of it because there's a baby involved. And I've had that baby since he was born. And so I don't have that. And he just turned 2 last week and I didn't see him.
That's hard.
It's hard. And he was in an accident a
Yeah.
few days before his birthday that
Oh,
I
God.
am absolutely livid about. And so being able to release that is very difficult.
It's huge.
So yeah, I mean, there's
I don't.
never
How
perfect.
how are you feeling now though about it? That
I'm
was well. How are you feeling now about it?
about feeling loved or the
How do
baby.
you? Yeah, about the baby and feeling loved.
No, I am absolutely hardcore. Have no idea what to do about the baby. You know, I walked away. It's none of my business. I can't control anything in this. I worry about him every day. I hear him crying in sleep and have had a hard time sleeping because of that. Um, and I don't want to say too much about it because, you know, again, I'm not anyone's judge. But the accident that happened could have been avoided, and I'm very angry. And I didn't get a phone call. They just left me out of it at the emergency room for hours and hours, and I wasn't notified, like I didn't have any business. And I spent 3 years of my life with this family, and that's the chaos kind of stuff that I can't handle.
So walking away is so essential. Being
Yeah,
aware,
you know, being away.
but drawing the line.
And
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known about this accident, but I picked up my 15-year-old from school one day, and I don't even usually do that. Like I just said, "Hey, I'm going to grab you," and I
Wow.
grabbed him, and I said, "Hey, let's go to this place we never go to." And we went to the place, and they were there, and they had just come out of the emergency room with the baby, and it was just so weird that I showed up there at that moment. And then I said, I want to take him because I was so incredibly worried about him. I mean, it was a 50-50. He could have died. Like, it was really bad. And his head was scraped from one side to the other. And I brought him home and bathed him and got the blood off him. And we ate popsicles. And then he played and he would climb up on my lap. And I want to not feel for him, which is harsh for me. I want to not feel for him. I don't want to hear him crying as I sleep. And he didn't want to go home. And I don't want to see that. I want to walk away and be, how did you say you were? I want to take it and just put it all rational in my head.
Yeah.
And be done with the emotional part of it because it causes me great pain.
But I cannot hear that and not feel the pain myself anymore, you know? What, as a friend, what would you like, as a friend, I want to ask you, if you could wave a wand, you cannot change the people in that chaos, but what can someone, let's say, as a friend, what can someone do for you to take
Just
some of that away.
send prayers to
Yeah.
the babies. There's 3 babies, and just pray that they don't die before somebody does something to take care of the situation.
You know, I want people to know, Michelle, this is, I'm so blessed by the whole thing. Is I want people to know none of this is scripted, but I want to reflect to you something. The last few minutes when you were conveying or relaying something, nothing short of traumatic, you showed someone who really has overcome in many ways
Mhm.
the anxiety that you had and suffered from.
Yeah.
You were not devoid of emotion when you relayed something so personal and really quite sad.
Well, and
And
I'm able to actually feel it now without being
right,
afraid of being overwhelmed by it. So,
and I think that's the whole point. If
mhm.
you, and whatever you were saying you were doing and whatever you've done to show us how anxiety can be managed, overcome, and now used to empower, i
Right.
think I think you're there.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, the master plan, I created it, but I don't take credit for it. For me, it was divinely inspired, so I get
Oh,
to
I
brag
know.
about it because I'm that woman who can't say I created this and be all proud of it.
Yeah,
It was way bigger than me. It was definitely a gift to be shared. I'm just a vessel, an urn that pours the water through to
yeah,
another. But I had to stop up all those holes in the bottom and keep for myself what I needed.
I
And
think that's very well said. And you're,
I can
yeah. Oh, I'm so
best.
excited because I can actually feel it and see it, and I can hear it, that how you're, what you're doing is we're equipping women on how to plug up that holes. Those
Yes, and
holes that you
it
put
is.
in.
And it starts with that basic foundation of
Yeah,
making sure that you're putting something in your mouth within an hour of getting up, because you've got
right.
to keep your blood sugar
Yeah,
level. Having a sleep routine, getting the 30 minutes of classic cardio exercise. It doesn't
right.
have to be vigorous and rigid. It just has to get your heart rate elevated to the right place. To take the supplements so that you're replacing what's been depleted, and to say I love you to yourself at least 3 times a day.
And the mindset, gratitude. Yeah,
Yeah, and then once you can say I love you
yeah.
to you 3 times a day, then start
Beautiful.
sharing that. But you need to pull that in and get that reserve held for you. I truly do see the living water flowing through me. And I need to hold on to what I need to sustain. The way I took care of 271 children is I got up every morning and I got dressed and I got myself ready. And no matter how much anxiety I experienced, I was still a living, loving, breathing human being,
Yeah,
and I had good parts of my day. What happened was the anxiety attacks overshadowed most of my good, because I had good days. I've had great relationships. I have amazing friends. Um, Most of them, I just don't see them very much right now. So I don't feel loved because I have gone from counting on all of their love to get me by to counting on my own. So there's days I don't feel loved, but that's on me.
one last question. One last question. Everybody, the word love is quite, I mean, let's be honest, it's overused.
Overused.
What would,
Overrated.
yeah, what would feeling love look like, feel like, sound like for you?
Wow. That's a question I've never had thrown at me. What would just feeling sated? Like just being okay. I used to say it like this. If I was in a relationship where I really felt loved, like exhibited love, um, I could take on the world. Like I could do things crazy. And so I always knew that feeling. But I think being able to feel loved has so many adjectives with it that it gets a little squirrely for me, and that's the problem. That base
What's
love,
the first thing that comes to mind?
admired,
Ah, okay.
adored.
Admired.
I'm a Gemini, and I don't know astrologically, I'm a Gemini with Cancer rising
Yeah.
and Scorpio moon.
Okay.
Nobody wants these combinations.
A lethal combination.
They are bad,
I know. It's a
but
lethal.
they make me who I am, you
Yeah.
know?
It's a.
Um,
It's your power.
yeah,
Yeah.
the cancer and the feelings and the emotion. I always say, like, people that are cancer and I don't usually mesh well. Like, I'm like, you're way too over emotional for me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't drive by
I
emotion.
run
I
the
don't
other
get,
way.
yeah, I
I'm
gotta
like, I'm
have some
gone.
intellect. Exactly.
That's
But
great.
I'm Gemini, so I do this number.
Right.
I
Yeah.
can be this number and be emotional right now, but then I pull back right to the intellect thing. So,
Yeah.
I get that. So,
Yeah.
but if you're
Yeah.
too emotional, I'm like, oh, you gotta go. Like, bye. Like, I don't live by that alone, because then you run into trouble. And then you've got the totally analytical people here who I'm like, could you just feel something? Feel something. And so it's really hard, when I mesh with
I
someone,
know.
I'm like, okay, we're good. But yeah,
I'm in the
um,
middle now. I think I'm more in the middle. Before I was like so totally analytical.
yeah,
Now I'm
and
going.
that's what I'm saying. You and I,
Yeah, you
and
got
we would have had great philosophical conversations because they're based in analytics.
but you cannot snuggle up to a book. You want
Thank
to
you. I
you want
fell
someone
asleep
who's
to
like,
a book,
who feels it,
but yeah, I want my little
Technique is
lover.
not just
Yeah.
good enough. You need someone who feels it, someone who's present, right? There's nothing like being present. But
Well,
I
I
like,
think we talked about this briefly when we were talking about the podcast.
yeah.
4 base emotions.
I want to know that.
Acceptance.
Can we do that on the next one?
Let's do it. Let's just kind of throw it out there so they
I
can look
want
for
it. I want it. Yeah.
Acceptance,
Yes.
affection, attention, accomplishment.
Yes.
You and I add wealth for finances, healthy wealth,
Yes.
wealth health. We'll call it wealth health,
Right.
and physical health. You have those 6 things, and you have perfection. If you can,
It's thriving. That, yeah. I
that's
think it's thrive.
happiness. That's
Can you
true.
run that over again? Can we go through those again? And then can we extrapolate later more? But I want you to repeat those again.
Okay, the 4 base emotions are acceptance, accomplishment, affection, and attention. Okay, balance those out, and you should have a great base emotional foundation. Then you and I add wealth, health, and physical health. Okay.
We need wealth and health, yeah, and physical. I agree. Yeah.
But now I can answer your question. What would being loved feel like?
Yeah.
Those 4 things in. And here's the problem. I don't have the affection part except part-time. Like, I have a long distance relationship and I'm used to having babies. So I could get a hug and a love and a kiss anytime I wanted. So my affection is different right now. And attention, I don't have anyone really paying attention to me. And I'm not talking, like, I have a lot of attention, don't get me wrong. When you do things like this, you have attention, but it's from people you don't know. I'm not having attention from a knowing source. A long distance relationship, we text through the day or whatever, it's great. But I'm a eye to eye person. I like being able to look you in the eye. And so that has come a little short because of some different things.
Right.
And so that for me probably is the attention, affection are just a little bit off. The accomplishment for me has always been very easy.
Right.
The acceptance, when I found out I was gay, that was really rough. Really rough. But I stood naked and vulnerable before my God and said, what do you think about me? What do you think? You created me. You tell me. And the answer was, I did create you just like I wanted you. Yes. And so my job is to keep the strengths flowing and be a giving person. Now, that's not I will shut you out of my life in 2 red hot seconds if I feel that you're going to steal my personal peace. Very few people will I allow my personal peace to be compromised with. So I think that when you're talking about being able to be to feel loved, I've been so incredibly busy the last 3 months that I've probably neglected myself some. So get back to the saying, I love you. you know, because I only see those two challenges. Those walls are still in front of my face. I've not overcome them yet. And I get so frustrated, like I'm pulling up going, can I see over the top? Because I really want to be over this now, and then drop back down and have to face the reality. This is going to take a minute.
Yeah.
It's going to take a minute.
So as well, Michelle, the 6 things that you mentioned has to start with giving it to ourselves.
Always. I think that that's where it has to come from.
I always tell people, pay yourself first. If you really want to love yourself financially, also pay yourself first. So everything, affection, attention, all those things, give it to ourselves first. And then I think maybe we'll start attracting it as well.
Well, there is an exercise in the master plan. I don't know what page. And it says, if you want it, give it to get it.
Yes.
Give it to get it. I don't have anybody around me to give hugs to. Like my 15-year-old, he and I, you know, I had him when he was a baby.
Right.
And he's very affectionate, and he tells me that he loves me all the time. He pulls my covers up at night and turns my lamp off, shuts my TV off if I fall asleep. You know, he's an amazing young man. Amazing. Yes. But you don't hug a 6'5" young man a lot. You know, you just don't do it. So, yeah, there's a lot to it. I've noticed that when I see people, I'm becoming very huggy. You know, I was a person who, you know, here's my line and don't cross it. Yes. And I'll be like, I'll touch you. Oh, hey. Yes. So, yeah, I think that may have a lot to do with it, that I'm just not identifying that boundary. And also, even in the relationship that I'm looking at, you know, I'm looking at a relationship. So we're in a very good boundary-driven place where I'm not doing that fall in U-Haul, pretend like it's all going to be great. I cannot do that.
So wisdom is another good part about overcoming anxiety. Wisdom.
Absolutely. Wisdom. Yeah, it's time to take all that knowledge and use it.
Turn it to wisdom.
Yeah, so it's not, you know, it's not what I'm used to being in the first part of this dating situation. You know, I don't know how to explain it. It's so rewarding because it's so much better than any other relationship I've ever had, but it's not what it would once be thought to be, because we want to go slow. We want to take time, and we both have areas that we're working on in our personal evolution. And so we're important to our own selves.
Yeah.
So you just don't really cross that line. Like, I don't really know. She's deciding whether she wants to come today or tomorrow. And I'm like, really? You don't want to come today? Well, I'm not the one that has to get in the car and drive.
No.
And, you know, we had talked, being sick, that makes a big difference when you don't feel well. And so I have to be the bigger person. And my answer is, okay, I'm going to smile like this and say, I understand, but I hope that you feel better and you do get to come, and one can hope, you know, and so we'll see.
So again, look at you. There's no, like I said, you're BSing to me when you said you had anxiety.
Oh, I'm telling you, I was a smoking hot mess.
Absolutely. But the qualities you exhibited and the qualities we talked about are for all of us, not just people who suffer from anxiety. I love it. Look outside yourself. The fundamentals, you know, the fundamentals can heal so many things too, right?
Right. And when you talk about this podcast, we fashioned it to be my side, where people have the anxiety in my tribe, and then on your side of the tribe is the people that don't have anxiety, that know somebody. And I can guarantee you, between the two of us, there's probably not one person in an adulthood space that would not benefit from what we're saying.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk more about positive stuff, you know, and turning things around, rescripting. Okay, Michelle, thank you so much again.
All right, summing it up. Episode
Amazing.
2.
Okay, take care then.
Positive perspective.
Okay.
To come, episode 3.
Yes.
All right.